Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Wednesday, December 17, 2008. This morning I'd like to go through test-driven development using SUnit tools as opposed to SUnit, because SUnit tools is really the way we're moving forward with testing in Cincom Smalltalk. Now to load that in, what we want to do is we want to go to the parcel manager and bring yourself over to the directories view, scroll down just a bit until you get to contributed, and then in contributed scroll down to SUnit tools down here. Select RBXX because this gives you the integration with the refactoring browser analogous to RBSUnit tests that's in the standard listing from the suggestions area, and we'll do a load. Now once that comes in, what we're going to want to do is we're going to open a new browser and we'll see where we go from there. So we'll go to the browser, and from here what we're going to find is that I have a little package that I've created with a class person, and it's got a method to create people first last ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new package called people-tests, and what I want to do is create a test for a method called full name, which would return first name space last name. So I'm going to create a new class called person tests, and I'm going to call this, coming from SUnit.testCase. That's where the hierarchy is in the SUnit tools framework, so we hit OK. Now once we've got that, we need a testing protocol category, and now we need our test full name. And what we want to do here is do an assertion, but first let's create a new person, and we'll say that comes from person. First is Fred, last is Flintstone, and ID, we'll just give them a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. And now what we'll do is an assertion. Assert that, let's try to spell that correctly, assert that the string Fred Flintstone equals person full name, which we haven't written yet, but that's our test. So we'll try that. It tells me the person's temporary. Now we've compiled the method, so let's go ahead and run this test on this. You go down here and you see now that we've got a test, we can run this. So it's going to be failing because, well, the method doesn't exist yet. Now there are a couple interesting things I can do. I can step into the test, and this allows me to debug it in an interesting fashion. I can come over here and it's put in a breakpoint for me, and I can just start stepping through and see where it fails. And I can see that it blows up there. So I can just close this debugger, and the breakpoint will go away for me. I don't need to do anything else. And up here it's telling me I've got a problem with my test. So let's try this one. Let's try debugging the test. And what we'll do is it'll show me exactly where it's breaking in the message not understood. And what I can do is come to the correct method and do define method, and it'll write full name for me with a halt here. And what I'm going to do is just write the method here in the debugger. So I'll say answer self first, comma, space, comma, self last, compile that, and now let's run that. And you'll see that I've made a small problem for myself because it turns out that I called these methods first name and last name. So I can recover from that pretty easily by compiling, rerunning it. Now it still shows this test as having failed, but if I run the test again, it's now green. And the reason it's green is that my assertion, Fred space Flintstone, equals the same thing as person full name. So there I had a case where I've written a test. The test failed because the method I was trying to invoke didn't exist. Then I wrote the method in the debugger because I allowed the debugger to go ahead and define the method for me, wrote it the way I thought it ought to be written, reran the test, and everything was green. And I was able to do this straight here from the toolboard because I didn't need to be floating things up separately. Everything's kind of integrated in SUnit tools, and that's really the way this adds productivity to the system. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.